Welcome back to the Mitt podcast, episode number 141. In this segment, we're going to be talking about how we attract who we are and how to consciously attract the right people, circumstances, and outcomes into our lives. And real quick, I want to give you guys two free resources to help you on your journey. The first one is I put together a 90-day scaling roadmap PDF. If you guys would like the link to that, just jump over to my Instagram, DM me the words PDF, and I'll send you that link. Also, if you're an entrepreneur or business owner, I'm doing a workshop on Tuesday the 11th, where I'm going to be breaking down how to scale $1 million per year business to a $10+ million business. And I'm going to be breaking down a case study on how I did it. I'd love to have you guys and give you a free spot. The link below to register. So let's talk about how to attract and manifest the right outcomes. In life, we attract who we are. This is why when we're in an amazing mood, we just received all this good news. It's like every person that we come across treats us like gold. Or when we're having a really rough day, we get a flat tire, it's pouring down rain, you just went through a breakup, something happened at work, and you go and you order something at a restaurant and the person's rude to you. You're driving in and out of traffic and someone flicks you off and hits the horn on you and is screaming and yelling at you. And it's like everywhere you go, it's like all of these problems just continue to pile on. It's because everything has a frequency. Joy, love, happiness, fulfillment has a very high frequency. Jealousy, envy, hate, sadness, despair has a very low frequency. And just as a radio frequency perfectly connects, or just how you guys are watching this right now from the internet, it's perfectly connected to you no matter where you're at in the world. Everything is a frequency. And if you want to attract the right people in the right circumstances into your life, we can't sit here and wish for the world to change and for others to treat us better. We need to actually wish for us to change. And not only wish, but consciously prepare, take accountability, and make the necessary changes and steps that help us become the person that can attract the right people and the right outcomes into our lives. Think about this. Let's say a Fortune 500 company is looking for a CEO, and you have two people. One person whose dream their entire life was to become a CEO. They're a great person. They do community service. They're kind and respectful to everyone. They're sharp, but they have no experience. They just got out of college. They just got their first internship. They're doing okay, but not as good as they'd hope. And then the other person had already built a multi-billion-dollar company. They've done multiple turnarounds for other Fortune 500 companies, is poised, well-spoken, is an incredible culture and team builder. And let's say that person doesn't even know if they want to take another CEO job because they really want to spend time with their kids. But deep down, that person that just got out of college really wants that position more. Their whole life, they said all these affirmations, they've read all the books. Which person is not only a fit for that job, but is likely to get chosen? Well, obviously the person that has all the experience. Why is that the case? Frequency, energy. That person has become a person that can naturally align with that outcome. That person can steward that ship, make those right decisions, and lead all of those employees in that marketplace and fulfill all of those promises to all of those customers and do so effectively because they've been prepared. Everything in life happens because you have become the person that's capable of handling it. And so to consciously attract the right things, we first have to think about who we want to become. And we have to sit here and think about what things would that version of yourself know? What knowledge would that version of yourself have? What people would they know? How mentally tough would they be? How would they handle problems? How eloquent of a speaker are they? And then you actually consciously give yourself an actual plan and process and an education to help you develop into this future version of yourself. And you can do this as fast as you choose. Because the faster you develop, the faster you go through these challenges and grow as a person, the faster you can attract and create the outcomes that are your dreams. But we have to do this consciously. So let's sit here and think about why we have the current circumstances in our life currently. If you listen to this podcast for longer than, let's say, 4 episodes, you're likely a person that is very self-accountable and is intentionally trying to grow. But if this is the first time and maybe you haven't listened to this type of content, you may be thinking, well, Grant, like I get you, but I've had a lot of unnecessary circumstances, had a lot of bad luck, grew up in a bad environment. It's just not lucky for me. My life isn't lucky. I don't know what to do. I've been in all these negative circumstances. I don't know how I can do this. Well, let's first start thinking about, with a very level mind, why are we in the situation that we're currently in? I want you to write down, either in the notes of your phone or a piece of paper right now, a couple different things. I want you to write down, how many books have you read in the last 12 months? Next to that, I want you to write down the types of books that you have read. Okay, now I want you to write down where you live and what neighborhood you live in and what the average income of that neighborhood is. I then want you to write down what your religious or spiritual views are. There's no right answer here, but it's going to attract certain types of people. So I want you to put that as well. I want you to write, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well you present yourself to the world by the way you dress, the way that, how fit are you, how well do you take care of yourself. 1 to 10, I want you to rate it. Next, I want you, on a 1 to 10 scale, rate how great your network is. How connected are you to really successful people that you really want to be around? 1 to 10. Then I want you to write down on a monthly basis how many times you work out per month. Next, I want you to write down what your estimated net worth is. It could be $10 billion. It could be negative 100,000. It could be 50,000, million, whatever it is. It's okay. Just write it down. And when you're writing these things down, I don't want you to judge yourself. And I'm not judging you because I've been through zero and negative and built up and became a success through hard work, and you can as well. But I want us to first diagnose ourselves. I also want you to put, on a 1 to 10 scale, how happy and fun to be around you feel like you are right now. The reason why I'm asking you all of these things is if we can't first quantify and assess where we're at now, it's going to be very difficult to get to where we want to be and make the necessary changes. Because who we are and the emotional state that we're consistently in is causing certain circumstances and people to come in and out of our lives. Which means if we don't do the necessary steps to proactively change, then we won't have any outcomes change as well. This starts from inside. It starts with the work that we all do to grow as people and ultimately achieve what we want to in life. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about 3 steps that we can all utilize to get the outcomes we want in life and attract better circumstances and people. The first thing is making your home a peaceful place to live. Whether it's just you or whether you have a big family. You should never allow strife in your house. Strife is arguments, yelling, or anything that is low vibrational. Have you ever walked into a room, a hotel or a restaurant, or maybe you went on vacation, and the second you walked in, you felt all of your stress just disappear? You felt happy, you felt poised, you felt relaxed, you felt at peace. The reason is the collective energy of that room is extremely high. In any great restaurant, resort, or location in the world that attracts really high quality people, brings out the best energy in others. They figured out how to curate the right environment to get the best of the best people to continue to come back. This is done through personality. This is done through culture. This is done through music. This is done through environment. This is also done through price, how much things cost. You have to be at a certain level, so it creates a filter. This is why when you enter those rooms, you suddenly feel different. In fact, sometimes you could go to a certain restaurant or hotel a couple times a week, or maybe a part of town, and suddenly you start closing more deals. You start getting random opportunities in business. Great things just start happening. Why is this the case? Your energy is rising. You're starting to think different. You're starting to perceive the world different and also see what is possible. You want to start first, not on your environment, but instead start with your home. Number one, clean your home. When you have a clean home, you're going to feel at peace. You're going to feel disciplined. And you can attract more success into your life. If you guys have ever seen the movie Limitless, he takes a pill that basically allows him to access full 100% of his brain. And one of the first things that he did was not start gambling, playing the stock market, starting a business, but one of the first things that he did is he cleaned his house. Before that, his house was a pigsty. It was horrible. But he had this perfectly pristine, clean house. It was the first thing that he did. So that is a great way. If you can keep your house clean, keep a good environment, you will make more money and you will have better people in your life. Next is you can bless your home. Whether you have a priest come over, you can utilize sage, but have someone or just yourself pray over your home. Okay, if you want to find a prayer, you can obviously utilize a Bible or whatever religion you have, or you can ask ChatGPT to write a prayer or a blessing that you can have over your home, and it can bless your house. It's good also to have air coming in and out of your house. Maybe open the door while you're doing this, and it'll cleanse a lot of the negativity from your house. Next thing is making sure everyone in your home is on board. Make sure that they are being positive, that they're not arguing, and talk about the importance of positivity in your house and in their lives. And it will make compounding changes in their future, especially if you have kids or maybe you have a spouse. The best way to do this, yes, is to bring up to be positive, but find ways to lead the way. Compliment people. Give them affirmations, positive words of affirmations. Compliment them. Say nice things. Reward good behavior. This will incentivize your home to be in a really good energetic state. Okay? Second, consistently train for who you're becoming. The faster you can learn the things you need to learn to create the life that you want, the faster those things will come to fruition. So for example, like we talked about earlier, what books, what knowledge, what people, what environments would your future self be in? Start downloading all of that information today. How would you look? Would you get better looking? You can get better looking. You can work out. You can take care of yourself more. All of these things you can do over a span of 90 to 120 days. So you have to look at what would your future self do and put yourself through those courses every single day. And you will notice over time, the way that you think, who you attract, the decisions you make, your subconscious mind, how you feel is going to shift. Things that you used to be interested in or okay with, you won't really be okay with anymore. You won't want to be in those environments. I'll never forget from the time that I went from sleeping on someone's couch to making six figures and then building a really successful business and doing over 7 figures a year net and becoming really financially successful. There was this hotel I went to as a kid, and it was just outside of Houston. It was this big resort. It was really nice. And I thought that it was like one of the nicest hotels I ever been in, but I have not been to that hotel in like 15 years. And I started making money, and I had a girlfriend at the time. I said, hey, let's go to this resort. It's one of the favorite resorts ever. They have these massive TVs. They have this incredible golf course. The pool is one of the best pools I've ever seen in my life. Let's go for the weekend. I was so excited. I got there, and it was one of the worst vibes I've ever been in. Everyone was overweight. There's all these kids screaming everywhere. It just wasn't the best crowd. It smelled like cigarettes when we walked in. It was chaotic, and it was just not a fun experience. I was like, what the heck happened? But I looked at everything, and the hotel was still well put together. It was still nice. It still had great reviews at almost 5-star level. What changed? I just grew. I experienced what actual 5-star was. And then when I went to this hotel, I realized it was nice, but it wasn't the highest level nice. I was just experiencing new things in my life, and I raised my standard. The same thing happens to all of us when we start investing in ourselves, becoming more fit, becoming more intelligent, raising our standards. Things that we used to tolerate and allow in our lives, whether it was someone that we were dating, friendships, environments, job, the finances that you're making. We used to think it was okay, but once we taste what actually is great, we don't put up with it anymore. And that is why growth is so important. And that is why investing in ourselves will help you attract the right things. Because if I would have stayed at that old frequency, I would have kept going to these types of hotels, these types of restaurants, these types of neighborhoods. And I'm sure I would have done all right, but I would have attracted completely different outcomes and people. But it's first a decision. 3 is, lastly, building habits that raise your frequency. The common ones are 1, working out, 2, affirmations, 3, meditation, 4, being around people that inspire you, and 5, choosing consciously environments that the second you walk in, your frequency raises. How do you know this? You listen to your body. Just as we were discussing earlier, when you walk in an amazing restaurant, a great neighborhood, amazing part of town, or even you travel to an amazing destination, notice that your body starts feeling peace. You start feeling wealthier. You start feeling more certain, more confident. You don't feel fear anymore. You need to constantly put yourselves in these environments because it's changing your subconscious. It's changing your core beliefs. And it's causing different outcomes and people to come into your life. Now, a last thing, I want to give you guys a book recommendation. There's a book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I probably mentioned it 1 or 2 other times on this podcast. And even if you read it before, I recommend reading it again. And it talks about how all of our actions, either positive or negative, slowly starts a compound effect that's either positive or negative in our lives. And the most interesting part about the compound effect that I found is that these little habits, like drinking, smoking, working out, doing affirmations, reading books, you may only be doing these things 10, 20, 30 minutes a day or less, maybe 2 minutes. And it's interesting that over a 6 or even year-long period, we oftentimes don't really see much of a difference in our lives. But slowly but surely, there is either a negative or positive ripple effect that occurs. And suddenly, 10 years down the line, the difference between you doing this habit that's negative versus positive is so different that the outcomes are drastic. And every little action we take is causing a butterfly effect of events to occur. And this is why you never want to underestimate any positive action that you're taking, even if it's working out for 10 minutes, reading a book, calling a friend, telling someone you love them, making an extra 10 calls. I gave the example one time to my sales team. I said, look, if you guys set an extra 3 appointments on average per week, what will that equate to? And it ended up being close to $20,000 or $30,000 in commissions per year. If they only are the same, and I even calculated if they performed 10% worse, they would still make tens of thousands of dollars more per year. Imagine that invested and scaled as you get into bigger games, bigger businesses, and bigger opportunities. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, I'm rooting for all of you guys. If you enjoyed it, please comment below every time you do. And also when you like it, it pushes it out onto the algorithm. Share this with a friend. And as well, guys, if you are new to the podcast, I also post daily affirmations every single day that are 2 to 3 minutes long to help you get in the right mindset and continue to grow. So thank you guys so much. Hope you have an incredible week. We'll see you guys again. Talk to you guys soon.